All right. Let's see here. We should have audio now. Yeah, we got audio now. Perfect. All right, everything should be working now. All right, we're going to be doing all this coverage across this area for probably the next couple of hours here. So definitely want to keep you guys informed and ready out there. All this area. I mean that the amount of square mileage and the number of people affected in today's outlook is just wild to me. It's just insane. The number of people that are here um, that that run the risk of some sort of severe weather. It's just insane. Um, but here's our current outlook. Here's what we got going on in this area. I do want to make sure that um, all of the technical issues are resolved in this area. Should be figuring this out. Let's see here. Yeah. Okay. All right, we're good. All right. Yeah. So if you are just tuning in now, this is our outlook that we've got. We've got a lot of square mileage to cover before this is even close to over. I mean, the ARRR sub hourly model is picking up is showing something to me that is interesting. We get out in time here, and there are even some more isolated storms here in the southern areas of this risk. Um, so it's interesting in that sense. Um, let's see here. It's like we are having some technical issues once again. Interesting. All right, let's see here. That should be a bit better. All right. I think our technical issues might be resolved here. So let's see. Yeah. All right. That looks like we're good here. So yeah, it's a very there is it's a very unfortunate reality that one of the radar towers down here towards San Antonio, Texas, is actually down right now. Very unfortunate that is happening because we have storms down in this area, and it's a little bit bizarre to me that we have a tornado warning for these storms down here. We don't even have radar data for these storms. I mean that's an interesting little reality there, but who knows? I mean they have ways of getting information from storm chasers and the like that um, that would baffle us as just normal people. But there's a lot going on already. I can only expect that um, the severe risk over the next several hours, couple of hours, will really start to get going here. I'm just kind of going around the sites here. I'm just making sure that our radar towers are doing their thing, and it does appear that all but that one radar tower down towards Texas, all but that one seem to be working, and that is a very good thing because we need as much coverage in this area as possible. So we're seeing more blips show up here towards say Burlington, Iowa here, and so I'll have to watch these. These are more elevated cloud tops here. But I mean these tops, there's minimal amounts of precipitation actually making it to the ground here, and these storms are already reaching above 40,000 feet up in the sky. And so what that can really do more than anything else is set the stage for a large hail to develop. As the taller in the atmosphere these storms go, the more of the atmosphere they can tap into, and therefore the more cold air they can tap into, because obviously as you go up in the atmosphere, it does cool off. So something to watch there. So I'm going to go back here and kind of go over a few things. So let's see here. Yeah, one thing I do want to kind of note is that we, especially in the northern parts of this risk, have some sort of very, very strong boundary setting up. I mean, I'm talking very, very strong boundary, because we have 30s and 40s up in areas just to the north of it, and then we have 70s, upper 70s, I might add, and 80s to the south. And what this can really do is right in the middle, it can set the stage for just something to go boom. And I think that we're going to see that. I think that's almost a given at this point, that we're going to see something quite dangerous start to unfold over the next little bit of time. So if you're just tuning into the video now or the stream now, consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. I would greatly appreciate that. It lets me know that I'm helping you guys out, getting you guys content that you'd like to see. But to move on even further here, here's our outlook once again. Here's what we're seeing right now across all these areas of the United States. I mean, millions upon millions of people are included in today's severe risk, and so are they in tomorrow's. I mean, we're just going. We're really getting going here with these severe weather seasons had started. I guess it's the better way that I can put that. And for Wednesday, tomorrow, we have a slight risk, goes all the way from Houston up to Washington, D.C., Pennsylvania, Ohio here. Just wild stuff. Wild stuff. So, yeah, to get going here in this discussion a little bit more, here's a kind of a big picture look. Let me go ahead and get these warnings off here. It's a little bit hard to see what's going on. So we do have more, and I'm interested in how this evolves. I really am. These areas down here in Texas and Oklahoma, as they get over towards Arkansas as well, these storms will have the potential to start banding up, kind of forming together into a line more. And if they do that, we will have the potential to see very damaging wind gusts in this area, as well as hail, especially initially. So this area right here is an area of storms I'm watching. That right there is another area. Up here into Oklahoma, we could have some more isolated storms starting to develop, so that's interesting. We do have this one isolated supercell down here in southern Texas, but I think it's going to be part of a larger area of storms that develop just to get going over the next couple of hours. So let's kind of break down what the latest model shows here. We may not have very many frames. We do not. So to come back to this, the run just before this, let's just kind of break this down. So this is for the southern part of this risk first, and we'll move up to the north as well. So the southern part of this risk, as seen here, over the next couple of hours, we're getting into, I mean, 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., these storms start to band together a bit more. I mean, in the southern parts of this risk, of course, this is a very terrible spot for these storms to be forming in due to the fact that we don't have a radar tower down here. So that's not great, obviously, but we have to make do with what we got, obviously. And those storms starting to band up and form together. Even as we get towards tomorrow morning, there's a lot to hear. Now, moving up to the north, this is obviously our much more volatile area. This is getting out here towards 7 o'clock. So it is currently 7 p.m. or thereabouts Eastern time. So it's 6 p.m. Central time. So over the next couple of hours or so, we could start to see more of these storms fire off in this risk area here. In fact, it's kind of picking up on these blips, if you will, already. And a lot of storms cross the risk area, the moderate risk area up here. And so something to watch there. I'll let this page just do its own thing. So I'm also going to break down the environment that we're seeing for these storms and a little bit of why we're seeing the potential, and they're going to have the potential to do some of the dangerous and damaging things that they're expected to do. So right now, this is our mesoscale analysis page. This is what tells us what the atmosphere is doing. This is essentially as close as you can reasonably get to a observed data. This is not observed data. This is a model, but it's very close to observed. It has more features weighing in on it. So something to watch there. So breaking down what you're looking at here, this is the low levels of the atmosphere. We're talking, 4 to 6,000 feet above your head right now if you live across these areas. And this layer right here is mainly responsible for two things. One of which is bringing warm, moist Gulf air up to areas that don't normally see it. An example, our area, our moderate risk area today. So this area is not known for having 60-degree dew points, but yet today we do have some of those. We do see those because this is one of the reasons, right? The low level jet brings all of this up to the north. And you can see over here our wind bars kind of circle around. So the low pressure, the cyclone itself, is centered over Iowa right now. And just to its south and east, we can see a broad belt of flow approaching 30, 35, maybe even 40 knots in some areas. And what this is doing is obviously it's bringing that warm air up from the Gulf, but it's also, because this is so low in the atmosphere, so close to the base of these storms, that these strong winds out of the south will kind of get those storms, a little bit of an extra push for these storms going just right off the bat here. And we'll just have to watch for that. There's our storms, you might be able to see them, are kind of underlaid here. So you can already see those. And this low level jet will only increase with time here. And in fact, over the next couple of hours, it really does, it does strengthen quite a lot. It gets up towards 45, 50, 55 knots in some areas. And not only that, but we have a lot of shear. You have 50 to 55 knots, maybe 60 knots of shear, wind shear, that is, across all of the risk area today. I mean, I just underlaid it here. You can see the moderate risk in that red, and it has 50 to 55, maybe even 60 knots of shear across it. And what that can do, what that can set the stage for, is getting these storms really organized. That's what shear is responsible for. And the way that works is that if an updraft gets going, there's obviously cold precipitation involved with it. And that precipitation, if it falls directly where the updraft actually is, you start to see the storm choke itself out with cold air. But if we have wind shear like this, then let's say, we'll do a little drawing. Let's say you have an updraft right here, and you have a lot of wind shear. So when that rain goes up in the atmosphere, it leaves the surface. So surface is down here. It goes up in the atmosphere. Well, we have a lot of shear, a lot of a change in wind speed with height. So at the surface, the wind is not a lot, and then up here, several miles above our heads, it's very strong. So as that rain makes its way up, it starts to get pushed, and it gets pushed further. out ahead of the storm. So what that can set the stage for is you have your little you have your updraft right here, and as it moves forward, its precipitation is vented off away from it because we have so much strong wind shear. So it lets these storms essentially breathe, and because of that, we're just going to see the potential for more organized storms to develop. So moving back to the radar here, and getting you guys an updated look at this. So our main storm that we were watching earlier is 3-inch hail is being called for right now. So 3-inch hail is nothing to scoff at. In fact, that's quite dangerous in a lot of ways here. And we also have a severe thunderstorm warning in areas of far southeast Iowa, getting into Illinois here. And this storm right now, they technically have it outlined as a tornado possible storm here. And looking into those velocities, there is an area of rotation here. It's not overly strong or overly impressive, but it is there. So something to watch. But yeah. That's just our current radar that we're seeing right now. So I'm gonna put you guys on a loop here. Before I do that, I'm gonna check down here to the south. Nothing overly. It's got my attention right now. So get this going. And now I got to do a couple things here. So if you're just tuning in right now, this is what we got going on. So our radar across all of this area right now, it might look a little bit odd, right? You might be wondering how this is leading to something so dangerous as a moderate risk. And that's a fair question to ask. But before you go any further in your thinking, I'm going to show you guys in just a second what's going on here and how this could be setting up to be quite a strong and potent even outbreak. I don't like to use the word outbreak. That seems so strong and dangerous and final, and people associate that with just the worst of the worst, and for good reason. I'm not gonna tell you shouldn't, but at the same time, I will use that word in this sense because I think we have all the makings of it. I don't think we'd be waiting on anything else to get these storms going that would tell me that they're not going to produce something that could be dangerous. So here's our current radar. Now I'm going to go and show you guys, if I can find it here, what we could be looking at when it comes to the radar here. So pick this. I'm going to show you guys essentially the future radar. So this is right now. This is starting off now. And let's see here. I'm going to throw on the Storm Prediction Center Outlook here so you guys can see it. So here's the Storm Prediction Center Outlook. And here's the northern areas. It's laid out pretty clearly here. But we go over the next couple hours, right? These storms don't do a whole lot until we get towards 7:15 or so Central Time. The time you're seeing, you probably can't see it here. I'm going to turn it on. It might be in the way here. But I'm going to turn that on. The time is obviously in Eastern times. It's a little bit harder to see exactly what this is if you live in the Central Plains, but just subtract an hour from it. That's probably the best advice I can give you there. So, but yeah, we do have storms that form here, and it might take a couple more hours for them to do so, but they do form, and because they form in such an unstable and strongly sheared environment, I would not be surprised one bit if we get an EF3 tornado out of this. I wouldn't be at all here. Here's our kind of a broad look at radar right now. So it's hard to determine anything specific from this, I know, but we have multiple areas here of storms to watch. That one up in the moderate risk area is obviously the one that has the most attention on it. We have a kind of maybe a convergence band at the surface right here getting these storms going. I have to also want to watch in areas of Oklahoma for more isolated storms to start developing here that could just kind of essentially overperform. And then we have a band of storms starting to develop down here in areas mainly of Texas. And there is one lone supercell down here in Texas. The radar in this area is actually not working, which is just great, isn't it? But regardless of that, several different areas of severe weather to focus on and watch closely. And I mean, it's surprising to me. I think surprising is the best word I can use for how favorable of an environment this truly is for severe weather. I mean, everything is set up here. You have wind shear, you have instability, you have moisture, you have lift in the atmosphere from this boundary here. And if you are just tuning in, I mean, the way that this boundary is set up right now is almost insane to me. We have very cold, I would say. We have 30s temperature wise, 30-degree temperatures up here just on shore of Lake Michigan here. So right up in this area, 30s and 40s. And then just to the south, we have upper 70s and 80s. That's a nearly 50-degree difference across some of these areas. Just wild stuff. And because of that, you have a localized area. I mean, we're right in here where these storms will have an extra little push in the atmosphere, an extra area where there's just an emphasis upward. I mean, I don't really know how to explain it any better than that or any different than that. But let's say let's draw this out here. You got your surface. A warm front is kind of situated like that. So back in here is cold air. Over here is warm air. Let's make this an actual W. So the way these boundaries work is as this warm air, and think about this oriented differently, but the warm air comes up from the south and it hits this front. It has to go up. It's essentially hitting a ramp. And when it hits a ramp like that, it goes up in the atmosphere because obviously it can't go into the ground. It has to go somewhere. And so that's why we're seeing some of these storms develop in this area. We have a very distinct band feature of storms developing here. Probably pick the worst color possible here. But yeah, we have this band of storms right along this area. And I do want to say that storms to the north up here, towards even Chicago, for example, are kind of on the cold side of this, or colder side of this boundary. And because of that, they're likely going to just produce hail and maybe some damaging winds than tornadoes. It's not out of the question, but at the same time, I just wouldn't look into that nearly as much for a strong tornado threat. Now, to the south of this boundary, pretty much anything's fair game. I mean, almost anything. And we obviously have this storm down here just north of how do you say this? Line's going literally straight through it. Kankakee. So however it is you guys say that. We do have a warning on this for 3-inch hail. And it is observed now. So people have actually seen 3-inch hail hit the ground. I mean, that's insane. I can't imagine. I've never seen 3-inch hail before in my life, but 3-inch hail, I mean, you can go get a tape measure, you can get a ruler, a yardstick, whatever, and look at 3 inches. And that's just it's pretty much a tennis ball. I mean, more than anything else. 3-inch hail is close to tennis ball size, baseball size, whatever. and they're just falling from the sky. I mean, that's enough of a size of hail to just destroy things. It's going to destroy trees. It'll destroy cars. It has absolutely. If you were to go outside and not have taken those protective measures, there's absolutely potential for stones like that size to kill you. It's essentially getting hit with a large rock falling up near 100 miles per hour. So pretty insane stuff. But there's other storms in this as well. This storm back over here, just entering Illinois, is also warned here. Let's see what it's warned for. 2.75-inch hail. So it's quite large as well. Baseball size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gust. And of course, if you are unfortunate enough to be in an area where those wind gusts are, as well as the hail, it'll be wind-driven hail. So your windows in your house become at risk because those hailstones are not just falling straight down; they're falling kind of at an angle or they're blowing sideways. Just insane stuff. There's a lot of warnings in this area. Tornado possible tags on most of these storms because there's a lot of rotation available in this environment. Our tornado warning down here, and I mean it was confirmed they've issued another one. We're doing our best to keep you guys covered here. This storm down here in Texas is huge. I think this is going to be one of the ones that we have to watch closely for just the most massive hail possible. I would not be surprised at all if that's the case. Our velocity signatures here, I mean, this is well up in the atmosphere. In fact, the beam height here is 15 to 17,000 feet above ground level. So this is not an accurate depiction of what the effects are at the surface, but just because that's true doesn't mean you can't warn it and can't keep those informed. So tornado warning, hail, pretty much a hail warning on this as well. Just a very dangerous looking storm down in this area, and there's all up Texas right now. There's severe warned storms, and so I have to watch for those. And again, up towards the OKC metro, there are these kind of isolated bean-shaped storms. They will have potential to be rotating in this area, so keep that in mind. Again, I'm not overly concerned about the kind of the middle areas of this risk. You guys are absolutely going to run the risk of seeing severe weather of some kind. Absolutely. And I think there's going to be a very high coverage of storms. In fact, I'll go ahead and go over that here. So this is the latest model here. And you can see all of the storm activity. We just get through the evening hours and it just lights up. There does seem to be quite a lot of linear nature to these storms. I'm watching Kansas into Missouri here for kind of some sort of Boeing line segment, maybe. It's hard to tell right now, but for that kind of thing to develop in this area that could produce some pretty strong wind gusts with time here. Just have to watch it. Let's see here. Yeah. Likely not going to get a risk. So I'm going to pull something up on the fly here. My risk here. No skill discussions. Let's be doing its own thing here. Maybe. Um, well, it does not appear mesoscale discussions are working. That's great. Yeah, that's really not great. We'll do what we can. All right, testing, 1, 2, 3. Should be good here. Get everything going. Just had to go get something to eat. I am hungry. Was hungry. All right, let's see. All right, so kind of get everything going again. So we're going everywhere, guys. This is a big deal for anyone up towards Aroma Park, Sun River Terrace, Hopkins Park, Illinois. Here we do have a PDS tornado warning in this area. This is a radar confirmed tornado. I mean, Kankakee. Kankakee. I think is how you say that. That's how I'm going to say it from now on, unless you tell me otherwise. But Kankakee, Aroma Park, around 6:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. So that's right about now. I think this was literally, this was literally just issued. So it's radar confirmed. So there is reason to think that this thing is actively on the ground. So gonna dissect it a little bit. The velocity coupling on this thing is quite impressive. We do have a very notable area just north of the greater Kankakee Airport, and approaching Aroma Park very quickly right here. Might be a little bit easier to see if I do it in a different color. Right in this area, do have a very strong area of rotation in this in that circle, and we can go through our products here and then kind of dissect this a little bit. So nothing specific when it comes to let's see here. Yeah, when it comes to a debris ball, not quite yet. It's very possible that we start to see one develop if it stays on the ground long enough. That is, but nothing specific yet. Everything about this storm is impressive and dangerous. That's the wording I would use for this. So you can see how it kind of over the last couple of frames kind of got its act together a bit more. And that will be the risk for every single storm pretty much that crosses through this area. Now you might be noticing that these storms back here a little bit further to the west are kind of moving up to the northeast a little bit more notably, but their direction is northeast as opposed to just east. And this thing down here is going almost due east. Well, that is because it's what we call a right split. And it pretty much just means that it is deviated from the mean flow. So the average of all of the wind through the atmosphere is northeast, which is why most of these storms are going that direction. But the strongest of these storms can, due to some small scale microphysics and different kind of fluid dynamics, essentially deviate to the right of that average wind. And you can get a motion like this where these storms actually are going a different direction than you think they would be. But this storm over the next 10 minutes or so will really just get out toward Hopkins Park, Sun River Terrace. Moments, if you're up in this area, I wouldn't say that you are out of it. You probably are going to be dealing more with hail, but this could start to deviate a little bit more to the north. I wouldn't be surprised. And then obviously further down the line here, Lake Village is a place we would want to watch. Snyder is another place we'd want to watch. So something to watch there. Now, technically, this is actually going to get into Indiana here very quickly. This warning gets over to the border. So Schneider, Lake Village, Morocco, Lowell, these areas are actually all in Indiana, not Illinois. So definitely something to consider as this does move off to the east. The latest frames here, um, for whatever reason, yeah, I mean, I'll be completely transparent with you. This velocity couplet is a little bit scary to me. We have um, a very strong velocity couplet in this area, so very impressive there. Thank you, Aiden Gaming. Appreciate that. I'm assuming you were the 465th subscriber, if I had to guess. Yeah, this storm just north of Roma Park, is definitely something that I would consider dangerous. I mean, it has a hail core to the north of it. It really has that kind of wrapped up look. I mean, it kind of comes around and then really like points in. I mean, it's really starting to kind of pull in that inflow from the south and then pull those outflow winds around the rear of the downdraft here, and that's just not a good look. A storm like this is pretty textbook. That's the word I would use here. Our velocity couplet isn't going anywhere. Again, just north of Aroma Park. If you are in this area, please take shelter. Getting up towards Sun River Terrace, Coster, all of these areas here will be in the risk over the next 5 to 10 minutes. The storm is moving relatively fast as well, so something to watch there. These are in 15-minute intervals. So in 15 minutes, it'll be all the way out here, just to the east of Moments, based on the storm track itself. And of course, we do have a PDS tornado warning here. So, what is the wording they're using? It's just radar confirmed. Yeah, particularly dangerous situation. So, the criteria for this is pretty much that the radar has seen it, and not only has it seen it, but it's been able to confirm that it's on the ground via other tools. I would say that we are starting to see a debris ball show up here. Areas you see in blue. Now you might be thinking, oh, is it all this debris? No, that's the inflow region of the storm. But you kind of follow the hook, and right in here specifically, that is where you look for a debris ball, and those values are starting to turn more towards blue. So, definitely something to watch there. I mean, this is moving pretty quickly. I mean, look, last couple of frames. And if anything else, this last frame itself, we kind of have a little bit of a core to this tornado. We're getting updates here about every 2 to 3 minutes. So that's pretty solid. That's a pretty good look there. So that's not the only storm that we have to watch here. And they've issued a mesoscale discussion for the regions out ahead of it. It says an intense supercell over eastern Kankakee County, Illinois, is likely to persist along the warm front with a risk for very large hail and strong tornadoes this evening. A downstream tornado watch will also be needed in northern Indiana. So pretty much what they are saying is that this storm in and of itself, like this singular cell, will be enough to have them issue a new risk or a new tornado watch across the area. So that is pretty strong, confident wording. That's the term I would use. So definitely something that we need to be watching closely. If you guys are just tuning in right now, I appreciate you guys watching and spending some time with me this evening as we cover all of this severe weather. If you don't mind, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. I would greatly appreciate that. It really helps me out. But I do want to note we do have a tornado warning now over Kewaunee. I think is this technically over the border? No. It is not. So this is well within Indiana now. These storms are moving very quickly. I might add, they are moving quite quickly. But we do have a tornado warning on these storms. Most of this this storm activity back here is kind of along a confluence band And what those really are is just an area where the winds are at the surface are kind of coming together, and then obviously because the ground, you can't go into the ground, they start to go up, right? The wind starts to go up into the atmosphere, and that's what can kind of be a push for these storms. And sure enough, I think that's exactly what we're seeing here. We kind of have this band of storms. Now, I do want to note our surface observation data has just come in, and let's see, the wind here. This is at the airport. This is likely would let me know more than anything else that we are looking into some confirmation of this tornado, because you would not be seeing 43-mile-per-hour wind gusts for no reason in that area of a thunderstorm. So that likely was on the outer edges of a tornado, if I had to guess. That's what I would gather from it. And now, I mean, there's a lot going on down here too. So let's kind of skip a few areas right now and look at the OKC Metro. So we have a storm right now rolling towards this area that it has kind of a dogleg hook echo on it, definitely producing some large hail at this time. So something to consider there. I'm not overly worried about this storm when it comes to tornado potential quite yet. It does have very broad rotation. Honestly, not enough to issue a tornado warning, in my honest opinion. But just because that's the case does not mean that I'm a professional and that I'm warranted to say things like that. But getting down near the Red River here, there's definitely some other cells. It does start to appear more messy as you get down here further to the south, and that's just because our forcing down here, our lift in the atmosphere to get these storms going, is much more ample in this area. So more updrafts in total will form, and that's why. I mean, you have more lift in the atmosphere, so just more storms will form, and because of that, you kind of get this more messy, clustered up look here. But anywhere on these Boeing line segments, guys, you need to watch for tornadoes. Pretty much anywhere along those have those potential for tornadoes. Now, getting down here towards the southern areas of Texas, even near the border's right here, something I want to reiterate and I want to note is that we do have a singular supercell north of Uvalde, kind of just south of Barksdale, Texas here. Does that say Camp Wood? Yeah, Camp Wood. It would be included in this right now. Unfortunately, we actually see how you might not be able to see it. It says no data available because the radar tower that would cover this is down right now, which is a real shame. But we'll do what we can here. Right now, more than anything else, this storm looks to me to be a big tornado threat. It was producing hail earlier in its life, but it has now what we call a bounded weak echo region. So the way we look for those, you take the storm core right here, and if you see a little area in the middle, it kind of makes it look like a donut, right? There's a little hollowed out area. That is an area where essentially the updraft is so strong that the main precipitation like this is actually suspended up in the atmosphere, and it's being held up here. So when the radar beam scans, it sees a void. And that's what we're seeing here. So this tells me that the updraft in the storm is quite strong. And that's just, more than anything, it just means that it's intensifying, if anything else. Now, do we have any information about the cloud top height? So yeah, we do. The cloud top height of this storm is about 52,000, 53,000 feet up in the sky. And what that tells me is that the storm itself is being able to tap into all layers of the atmosphere and really get going here. So that's why we have tornado warnings issued here. One of these was actually an observed tornado. A weather spotter saw it. I'm very impressed, to be completely honest with you guys, that we have a storm spotter this far south in the risk area. I would have expected that more people were focused on the areas up to the north. So speaking of areas to the north, let's take a look back on this supercell, man. This thing just really does look textbook here. There's no indications to me that this thing is weakening or going anywhere anytime soon. So this is the latest look at it. This was let's see here, just a matter of maybe seconds old. It's very fresh radar data here. So before we go into this any further, if you enjoy the stream, find it helpful, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. I greatly appreciate that. But moving past that, let's see how this storm is doing. It does look like the tornado has likely lifted. We do have a strong hook echo here, but our velocity couplet has notably weakened a little bit. It's not quite as tight. The values themselves don't look a whole lot different, but you can go back here. There's a notable difference between that and this. Just a difference here. You really start to pick up on those the more you look at these type of threats here. But get everything set back up. So it does look like the tornado has likely lifted. And there is a debris ball here. So this tornado, even if it wasn't all that strong, did get strong enough to loft an area of debris just south of Sun River Terrace. So we'll be watching downstream, kind of in this area right here, for debris fallout down toward Hopkins Park, out ahead of this, as this debris kind of goes up in the atmosphere, and then it has nothing to suspend it anymore, so it starts to fall back down. So Coster, Tallmadge, Hopkins Park, Adonai, Sunny River Terrace, all these areas out ahead of the circulation itself right now, we'll have to watch for debris fallout. That's probably the least of your concern at this point. This tornado will cycle. It will it probably wrap back up. There's nothing telling me that this tornado is about to just quit or anything like that. It really looks to me like we're going to just have this storm be a danger for quite some time. I did also notice before I zoomed into this that we have an observed tornado warning down here entering the OKC metro area. So pretty high criteria there. Let's see what we've got here. Broadcast media confirmed tornado. So what that tells me is that likely from a helicopter or some news people on the ground, they have actually seen this tornado with their eyes, and they have called it in. So approaching Mustang, Oklahoma here, the Will Rogers World Airport very shortly here. I will want to watch. We should have surface observations out of this area and not too long. So we'll watch for those. But right now, let's see, the circulation itself does not look overly strong. So that's not to say that there is not a tornado on the ground, but it does appear, if it is, to be probably quite weak. Kind of draw this in here. Yeah, there's nothing in it, nothing in this specifically that is telling me that it's wrapping up yet. But as our frames roll in here, this storm is becoming more textbook. The way that we define that in the weather like this is the more this hook echo kind of curls in on itself, kind of like that. Compare this frame right here, the one you're looking at, to the one before it. This last one kind of curls up a bit more. Tells me that rotation itself is a bit stronger. And something seems to be wrong with the radar data here. But if anything else, right now, it does seem that this area right here is starting to push off to the east a little bit faster than areas to the north, which is kind of, it's called an RFD, rear flank downdraft surge here. And it can get this kind of to surge out ahead. And what that can do is kind of kickstart a stronger area of rotation. So out ahead of this storm, right out ahead of the circulation here. Let's see. Yeah, the latest frame. Right out ahead of it, it is 79 degrees. So 80 degrees out ahead of this storm. And the dew points themselves are in the low 60s. So more than adequate environment for strong tornadoes here. I have not looked recently into other mesoscale analysis, so we can do that here briefly. Let's see here. Let's look back up towards our other observed warning here. So again, just south of Sun River Terrace, north of Hopkins Park here, something we are watching very closely at moments. If you live in this area, please let me know down in the comments section. In fact, if any of you are watching, just leave a comment down there. Let me know where you're watching from or who you are, anything like that. Great. It'd be great to kind of get to know you guys. But right here, if you are in moments, this is likely it's just spitting hail. I mean, it could be very large hail, actually. But just to the south of you, we are watching for a tornado to be on the ground as of right now. Our velocity right here, this tornado has likely dropped back down. So let's see, let's go a little bit closer. Approaching Coster, Tallmadge over here in the next probably 5 to 10 minutes or so. Definitely something we need to watch. This rotation is starting to tighten back up. And let's see. When it comes to debris, some sort of debris signature, a debris ball, Not overly concerning look as of right now, but we do have some signatures here pointing to the fact that we could have some sort of debris fallout right here. So I'm going to do one thing just really quickly here, and that is change this to a different number. Appreciate you guys hitting that goal that we had set here. All right, let's go back. So let's see. Taking a broader look at this storm, we do have a warning on it for 3-inch hail. And the hail threat has been seen. Trained weather spotters have actually reported this hail being 3 inches in diameter. So quite a large, damaging hail threat with a storm like this. Wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if we even got 4 inches of hail out of this, not even a little bit. Do want to note this tornado just north of Coster is definitely starting to tighten itself up a little bit. Starting to see both these strong inbounds and strong outbounds getting a little bit stronger and closer together, and that pretty much just signifies that right in this area we have wind heading away from the radar. Right in this area we have wind heading toward it. Obviously you can complete the circle. So that's how we will look for rotation here. But specifically right in here, just north of Coster, this is likely, based on everything I'm seeing right now, this is likely not a huge tornado in size, but it is likely relatively strong and relatively large. Let's see if we have an update here. This was 6:45 Central Time. So it's a couple minutes old, not overly so, but it is a few minutes old here. So we'll be watching for that next update. It'll be crucial. It's how this stuff works. Definitely some sort of debris signature here, albeit not very strong, but there definitely is some sort of signature that I'm looking for here. Something to watch. I mean, there's just a lot here, a lot of it here. Work our way back over to the west a bit here. So there's a lot of areas of rotation all across this little cluster of storms. And in fact, now that I'm thinking about it, let's go ahead and kind of go over some of what's driving what we're seeing right now. We got 55 to 60 knots of effective shear in the northern part of this risk area right here. You can see our storms underneath this. I mean, this is a really some sort of a prime environment is the word I would use. We also are dealing with 2,500 joules per kilogram of mixed layer CAPE in some regions. Obviously, this does decrease as you go to the north pretty quickly, as there's a very strong boundary in this area. In fact, I'm going to reload this so we can see it on a closer scale here. So right in this region, we have a very strong boundary setting up. It has been set up actually for quite some time, several hours, with the wind to the north is kind of pointed down from the north coming off Lake Michigan, and then it wraps around. This is what's called a triple point. So there's a low pressure, a literal low pressure center, probably right here. And the wind surrounding it kind of point in towards the middle. So wind to the south of this boundary is pointing up to the north. So what this will do is right in this area we'll start to see storms. We have seen storms. We're seeing them right now. In fact, the cluster of storms we're seeing right now is right in this area because of this area of convergence. So let's see here. We should have an updated model run. Maybe not. Possibly we do. I'll probably update this. In fact, I'm going to. So let's just get ourselves a little update here. Triple R sub hourly. We do not have an update. That is interesting. We're going to be looking for one of those pretty soon here. So hate when it does that. See if we can get this thing to listen to me. There we go. So the latest model run that we've got. Let's focus in on this northern area first, and try to break it down here. So this is what we're going to be watching over the next couple hours. These storms continue. More storms fire. And then we get out. I mean, this is 9:15. This is Eastern time, so 8:15 Central time. So a couple of hours from now, I honestly think that our models might not be picking up on the initial strength of some of these storms and coverage. Some of these storms that form back here towards, I say, Davenport, Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, have already formed. They're kind of already here. And now it is picking up. The HRRR is picking up on these storms right in this area that we've been watching. So something to watch. Literally, they're very close, and this is right about now. So next couple of hours, we'll see these storms continue to move through the area. And we get out to tomorrow morning. There's even more storms moving in. I mean, a crazy little period of weather here. So I'm gonna go back and we'll look for an update here. So they have shrunk this warning because it's a really more focused area. Again, north of Hopkins Park, just west of Tallmadge, just north of Coster. A very strong area of rotation. If anywhere this tornado is on the ground, a matter of like a mile, probably 5 to 10 miles just to the north of Coster. So very strong signatures showing up here. Debris wise, it doesn't look like much. So that tells me that this tornado is either weak or it keeps going up and then back down. Although the latest frame does kind of contradict that. I mean, this is about as textbook of a look as it gets for just an isolated supercell. Huge area here. You can draw it. Has that flying eagle shape to it. Just everything about this looks to be impressive and dangerous. Those are the two words I would use. And our debris signature is not going anywhere. Just to the south and west of Tallmadge. I mean, you guys in this area do need to be paying very close attention to your local sources. Watch this stream, whatever you need to do, and be getting ready for running, not walking, running to your safe place, because this tornado is likely not all that small. It's likely a relatively large tornado, if anything else. So. This is the only tornado out here as well, I should add. There's nothing to interfere with it. It's just going to keep going right on its merry way here. And I also want to note that in instances like this, when the tornado is moving almost due east, when it occludes, when the tornado finally lifts for any given reason, it is likely this tornado would start to move off to the north as it's occluding. So if you guys are up here towards Edgetown, Woodland, this is getting it's Schneider, Lake Village, guys who you think you might be north of where the tornado is. We'll be fine. We're going to be north. It'll pass to the south. Maybe it will. But there's a chance that in an environment like this tornado could kind of deviate up to the north a bit, and it obviously would not be quite so strong. But we've seen several instances here over the past couple of decades when looking into tornadoes about very strong tornadoes deviating very rapidly and very aggressively to the north while they're still at nearly max intensity. So you guys up here approaching the Illinois-Indiana border, Shadow Lawn, Woodland, Lake, River, Litchfield, Garden of Eden, Lake. I mean, there's some interesting names in here. But you guys who think you are north of this, not necessarily. It's very possible you aren't. And if you are in Tallmadge, there aren't apparently a whole lot of houses in this area based on this map here. But if you are anywhere near this, make sure that you are in your safe spot. At this point, you likely do not have time to go anywhere. I mean, this is 6:53 p.m. Central Daylight Time, so that is literally like a minute ago. And just everything about this just looks dangerous. We could even be experiencing, I wouldn't be surprised, some debris fallout in kind of this area up here. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, purely from the standpoint of just 2x4s, literally just 2x4s falling out of the sky. But let's kind of zoom back out, take another look at some other areas. So getting into northern Missouri here is another area, has pretty high risk criteria here, and we do have some isolated clusters of storms rolling up through this area. I do want to say that storms like this, I honestly, in my opinion, and research backs this up, these kinds of storms where they aren't completely isolated, they kind of can bump into each other and nudge each other around. Those types of storms are the ones that I'm more concerned about, because research has shown, field experience has shown that these tornadoes can really get going more if these storms bump into each other, kind of nudge each other around. That can be enough to kind of get those tornadoes started. And in an environment like this, there'll be absolutely nothing holding them back. So just there's no reason to be playing around with storms like this. Obviously, these can be producing hail. These can be producing pretty much any given thing at any given time here. These are mostly um, hail related warnings right as of right now. 2-inch hail. Some of this has been observed. Golf ball size hail. So hail is a big concern with these storms, and rotation is not yet, but they all have a little bit of rotation in them. Every single one of them. And that's how these storms work. So, do want to note, we've just had another PDS tornado warning issued out ahead of this tornado we likely have on the ground right now. This includes Schneider Lake Village down just to the north of Enos, Indiana. This is getting into Indiana now. So, something we have to watch closely as it moves over the border. If this tornado lifts, if it stays on the ground, whatever it's going to do, it's going to have to decide pretty quickly before it goes anywhere else. And our latest frame here is showing there is likely a tornado on the ground, just a matter of probably a few miles, if that, to the east of Tallmadge, Illinois, that is. So approaching the border here, very very potent looking tornado, compact and robust look here. When it comes to debris, nothing specific. This tornado is likely not all that large and not all that strong. Nothing about the signatures I'm seeing are indicating that it is anything off the charts, but it could be quite strong. That's the way I would put it. And moving down to the south here, we do have multiple other tornado warnings to discuss here. Dead center Texas here. Obviously, this little cluster / line of storms will be approaching the Dallas-Fort Worth area with time. So we do have to watch for those, but I don't want to get overly caught up in that. That's out ahead of us here. But I mean, this storm complex does seem to be getting its act together up near just Abilene, just to the east of Abilene, Breckenridge, Texas, over towards Brownwood, Coleman, Cisco, Texas. All these areas are kind of areas I'm watching out ahead of this line for just some damaging straight line wind damage to occur. I know I said the word damage probably like 17 times in that sentence, but it is true. I could put it like that. Radar tower is still down. So, in the storm in the far southern areas of Texas, Utopia, Texas is in the tornado warning for this. Leaky, Texas. What a name. Happy Hollow, Rio Frio. Some very interesting names here. It's very hard to get a good handle on a storm like this because it is so far away from a good radar tower. The closest one to this is down for some reason. So we have to work around that. But still seeing very large hail in this storm, as well as what we call a bounded weak echo region. It's essentially, you can see all these strong values, and then kind of in the middle, these values are lower, and that just means that the updraft is so strong right in the middle here that it's suspending these water droplets, these hailstones, all of that good stuff. It's suspending that above the radar beam, so we can't see it. That just means the updraft is very, very strong. And then checking in on our Oklahoma City storm, it never really looked overly put together here. Not in my opinion. So it was for a brief time something we had observed. Local news networks had done that, but as of right now, it doesn't look overly potent. Now, in this area near Oklahoma City and just down to the Red River or so, they do say that the environment is becoming more favorable for tornadoes along and east of I-35 in Oklahoma, along with the damaging hail threat. So really, we just have to kind of watch these storms with time. As we do any storm, But the tornado threat is set to start increasing as we move over the next couple of hours here. I'm not going to be here that long. I have some other things I got to get done first. I might hop back on, but they are stating that the risk might start to increase here. Now, another area we need to watch is the kind of Oklahoma Panhandle up into southern Kansas here, just for some large hail producers and damaging wind producers. Our tornado threat does exist in this area. It's not zero, but it is not just, it's not as high as other areas surrounding it. And looking up here towards our cluster of storms just north of, or just south of St. Joseph, Missouri here, just keeping an eye on these. Like I said a second ago, these storms can overperform when it comes to tornadoes. If there are other storms in the area, they can kind of bump around and nudge, if you will. And so because of that, you always watch these. And you see how many severe thunderstorm warnings there are up here to the north in Iowa. And some, I think, well, no, they're all counties in Indiana, really. Just a lot of storm activity. However, the further to the north we get with all of these, the more hail producers. And there's a lot of this pink hail showing up here on this map, just because these storms are north of a warm front, which is pretty much leading to them not having access to surface thermodynamics. And what that's doing is making these storms focus on essentially using energy from the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere. And the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere are colder. So that's why we have more hail producers up here. And all of these could be producing hail at pretty much any given moment. Obviously, the main show is right down here. This storm is not going anywhere. I mean, it looks very strong. There's a chance with this that this tornado has been on the ground for a long time, and this frame right here is very impressive. It's the most impressive frame we've seen yet. There does not appear to be a whole lot of people right in this area, but East Baseline Road, approaching south. What's that say? 18,000 East Road. Some interesting, unique names, but East Baseline Road is one that we got to watch. To name somewhere oddly specific. But taking a broader look here, Lake Village, you guys are up next. I hate to break it to you. You do need to be heading for your shelters right now if you are in this area. Lake Village up to some of our resorts. Sumava, however you guys say that. Anywhere further to the south here as well. Again, not a whole lot of people living out here based on what the map I'm looking at shows, but Lake Village is the primary area we do need to watch here. Very strong tornadoes likely on the ground. And we are starting to see some signatures of debris in this area. So if you are in this area, pay very, very close attention. Please be getting to your shelters and staying there as long as you absolutely can until you know that the threat is gone. And if you're just tuning into the stream, consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. Greatly appreciate that. And we're on the road to 500 subscribers, and we're almost there. So if you find this content helpful, please consider doing that. But moving back on to more important things here, I'm trying to get a look at our reflectivities here. I mean, this is quite an impressive look here. Very curled up hook echo. Looks like this storm has likely been on the ground for some time. You can kind of play a loop here. I mean, it's had this same general look for a while. It really has. And the last frame specifically to me, the last velocity frame, or the one just before this, it was likely at its most intense right around here. This would have been 7:01, so right around 7 o'clock Central Time is when this was at its strongest. And now going back to our reflectivity, let's see if we can get this to come up. It will not load in. So maybe the radar has not picked up on this quite yet. So yeah, I mean, this latest frame, sorry for whoever's watching, I probably just gave you a seizure. But what we're seeing right here is just some very strong rotation, and that we have to watch. I mean, it's getting right up to the Illinois-Indiana border and starting to cross over. So again, Lake Village, Sumava Resorts, even up to Schneider. I do want to keep in mind here that even up towards Schneider here, we could be seeing this tornado because these tornadoes do like to deviate to the north a bit as they occlude. So if this tornado is on a weakening trend, which I don't really think it is, we could start to see it start to shoot up to the north a little bit more. So wouldn't be surprised. In fact, the last couple of frames, it might be kind of coming up to the north just a bit. So it's very possible that we get that. But that storm is obviously of most concern right now. We just got another update, 7:05. So maybe losing a bit of organization with this. Nothing overly concerning yet. Let's see. Yeah, no, the latest frames here, probably still on the ground. Again, if you're in Lake Village, Sumava Resorts, even up to Schneider here, and anywhere just south of Lake Village, please be in your shelters. And if you're not there yet, run, don't walk to your shelters. Cover yourself with mattresses, blankets. If you have a bike helmet in your garage, put that on. That can be a big difference between life and death. That's what we're discussing here. We're not talking about any sort of lighthearted. This is a joke. This is a drill. No, this is not a joke. It's not a drill. You need to be ready for this. It's not stopping. It's not going to wait for you. It's not going to pass over you just because you weren't ready yet. So get ready because it's coming. There's a lot of warnings back here. In fact, a lot of them. Getting up into far northern areas of Illinois and far eastern areas of Iowa. There's a notable uptick in severe activity across this region just because there are more storms in this area, and the environment is very favorable for severe storm development, specifically storms that could produce very large hail in this area. So our OKC storm, yeah, I'm not overly concerned about this. If you're in OKC, just points north, I would be watching for maybe some gusty winds, maybe some strong winds, mainly hail as of right now. This storm really is not rotating all that much. It looks that it may have gone outflow dominant, meaning that it would just transition to more of a wind producer than a tornado producer. Could be wrong, but I hope I'm not, because the last thing we need is more tornadoes in an environment that supports them. Just a lot going on here. Moving down to the south a bit. There are plenty of, this approaching Cisco, Texas, for example, you guys are under a severe thunderstorm warning right now for, let's see, yeah, 65 mile per hour winds, so slightly stronger than, say, average, but you're under that warning. I wouldn't be surprised if they up this. This line of storms will start to gain steam with time as a cold pool kind of reinforces out behind it. And that just is what gets these lines of storms to really get going. But I also want to keep in mind that this storm way down here in far southern areas of Texas is also not going anywhere. It's still producing a lot of large hail in this area. It is still rotating, albeit maybe not as much as it was not too long ago. Although another thing of note is that the closest radar tower, let's see how far away it is. The closest radar tower is somewhere in the range of 120 miles, 120, 130 miles. So that is not an accurate depiction of this storm. Unfortunately, the closest radar we've got is down. So that's just the reality we have to deal with for now. Anywhere else specific? Nah, I really just need to focus on this storm up here. So, all right, good news is, I say good news. The reflectivity representation of this storm, the tornado, kind of looks like it may have started weakening a little bit. It doesn't look like it's organized. However, our velocity couplet here looks almost more so. If I had to guess, this storm right here, what it's doing right now is cycling. The tornado has likely lifted just to the west of Lake Village, and you can kind of see how, and the reason I think it's lifted and that it's about to do this again is because we had two distinct areas of strong wind, this right here and this right here, but they're not touching each other. So this is kind of what can happen initially. And then with time, they're kind of phased together. Probably the worst color I could have just picked, but they'll phase together into one larger area of rotation and could put down a tornado pretty much at any given time. This is what I'm talking about. We just got an update here our reflectivity looks like this, and our velocities look like this. So there might be a smaller tornado, smaller in diameter here, down to the kind of west southwest of Lake Village, and it almost looks stronger. We have a pixel here moving 124 miles per hour. So the tornado itself might be strengthening, but you can kind of see how there's these bolder blues and these stronger yellows, and they're further apart. So we might have to watch over the next couple of minutes for this storm to cycle again. It might just skip over Lake Village. Please don't hear me say that and then go walking outside to look at the tornado. No, don't do that. Stay in your shelter for probably a good 10-15 more minutes in all of these areas. Schneider down to Lake Village, point south. Just stay in your safe places here. The next place I'm really watching as a larger population center is Roselawn. This is Indiana now. Thayer, Shelby, Forest City, down even to Fair Oaks, obviously Lake Village and Sumava Resorts. Are areas that we're watching in the now, right out ahead of us, literally. And I mean they've continued this warning. We do have a new PDS tornado warning out ahead of it. As overall, the big picture of this storm does not tell me that it's going anywhere. In fact, this latest frame, we'll look for the velocity frame here just in a second. Let's see if we can get an update here. So this is, I'm going to watch here for an updated velocity frame. I'm just going to leave it on this. You can see the tornado approaching here. So yeah, right here. So this is the latest frame. We just got this frame in. I honestly think there's no reason to assume that just south of Lake Village, Indiana here, we have a tornado on the ground. That is what I think we have right now. There is a, oh boy, there's a debris ball starting to show up just south of Lake Village. So this storm might actually be doing two things at one time. It might be having a tornado right here, and the overall mesocyclone is actually cycling. So down to overall to the south of Schneider here, we're seeing a broader rotation start to get going, and inside of that is where this tornado is. So obviously there are houses here. There's a population area in Lake Village, and this is very, very concerning. So if you're in Lake Village or in anywhere close, please be in your safe place. You don't have time anymore. This data here is now 2 minutes old, and this is still the most updated info we've got. So you have absolutely no reason to be not in your safe place at this point if you're in this area. And if you're over in Roselawn here, DeMott, Wheatfield, Shelby, Thayer, Fair Oaks, Moffett, Virgie, Deer Park, all of these areas out ahead of this rotation. Absolutely no reason you guys should not be preparing for this or already prepared for that matter. We just got an updated frame and it looks terrible. That's the word I would use for this. So this is pretty recent. Let's see here. Yeah, this is the same minute as I'm speaking right now. So no reason to think that we're not seeing a tornado on the ground. This next frame for velocity will mean a lot. So I'm gonna be sitting here waiting for it. It ought to come in here pretty much any minute, and we're fixing to see what it shows us for 713. So interesting look here. The last few frames actually looked worse for velocities. Now, again, just south of Lake Village, regardless of whether or not there's a tornado on the ground, it is very windy. Destructively windy at the surface, likely just south of Lake Village. So tree damage is likely. Mobile homes could be damaged or destroyed. But our rotation itself does not look quite as tight and intense in this area. Not to say that it's not there, just not quite as bad. But this area of blue out here ahead of it, this could be what we call side lobe contamination. Wouldn't be surprised, but at the same time, its placement is not out of the ordinary, in my opinion. What I think this storm is trying to do on a bigger scale is connect the dots here. Is trying to connect these two and make one larger area of rotation that would likely be right in this area. So, again, Roselawn, DeMott, Thayer, Forest City, Shelby, and down to Fair Oaks, Moffett. All of you guys here kind of in this in this area, in the warning here, I think they've got it down pretty well, are areas that could be seeing this tornado over the next couple of minutes here, and then we'll have to wait. It's about time that we get an update here, so we'll just stay here until we get it, and we'll watch it closely. There is a lot of activity. This is not the only storm out there. It's just this is the worst storm out there, and it's in the environment we thought it was going to be in. I mean, there's no reason that the storm will weaken over the next couple hours. I think it's the only reason it might weaken um, is because it moves into an unfavorable environment, and we're not going to see that for a while. So we just got this frame in. It does look like this storm itself, the like area of debris is likely larger now. Yeah, just south of Lake Village. This is a couple minutes old. There was a distinct debris ball in this area, so there's no reason in my mind that there was not a tornado on the ground near Lake Village, and there could well be fatalities in this area because of it. So let's see, look at our velocities here. So yeah, we just got our update. So if anything, our tornado has weakened. You compare this frame to this frame, there's an obvious difference right here. But something interesting about this is, again, this area of blue over here, just west of Thayer and Shelby, is kind of displaced from it. And that could mean that the overall mesocyclone is trying to wrap something up. It might take it a while to do so. It might not be for a good period of time that it does that, but when it does, it could be pretty impactful. So I think I've got to make a long form video for this evening. I already was planning on doing that, so I've got to get that done. So I think I'm going to hop off for a little while. Other than that storm, there really isn't anything sticking out to me that gets my attention for something overly destructive or impactful right now. There's a good chance that I hop on again afterwards and just watch, just be on here with you guys. So thank you all, the ones who watched this video, and I think I will see you guys in the next one.